So when we're doing our tournament fishing, we'll run some different weights. So we'll run the quarter inch, the 3/4 and the ounce. So the ounce will probably be used in the deeper water, sort of over 13 feet. The half ounces, when we're fishing the edge, we'll have them right up on the edge. We can throw them right up on the edge and they're not going to sink too fast. You can get on them straight away and they'll swim. And the 3/4 is a bit of a stable. So we generally always have a 3/4 and a half ounce setup. But what we do the day before we tournament fish, on our last day of pre-fish, we take off the trebles. We might use one of these old hooks if they're a bit buggered, and we'll just sometimes get a normal slick rig and we'll just cut the point off. And what you'll do is you'll still get the bite, but you just don't hook up. So you're not going to waste a fish, the day before. You don't need to catch them all the day before. You don't want to have a great pre-fish. We've had some wonderful pre-fishes and then had absolute bombs in the tournament. So that's probably one of the best ways. So, realistically, for us with our tournament fishing, there's not too many lures that we use. We've got so we use the slick rig, and we also use the Samaki Reddick, and we use them on a Samaki Reddick rod, which is pretty cool. So the Samaki is really good. Straight out of the box, you can use the standard hooks. The weights are handmade, or they're hand sanded down so the weight is perfect, and when they sit in the water, they will suspend perfectly, and this is a great bonus. The other thing we also do is we use 50-pound fluoro. We don't do anything fancy with this, but what it does is just gives us enough weight. So instead of pulling this away from us, we're actually just twitching it. So it's only just going like this and it's staying in the same spot. And if you do that, and if you look at, say, this level might be where it ends, so they usually sit around about somewhere between 10 to 13 foot when you get them down, when you've pulled them down a bit. But if you leave it sit there and suspend, the fluorocarbon line helps it sink even more. So you can get it down to 16, 17 feet by leaving it out there and just twitching it little bits at a time and not pulling the lure forward, because as soon as you pull the lure, it pulls it up. So you want to be just giving it a couple of twitches just to twitch it down. And that's the secret to using one of these. You can do this with all the other types of hard bodies too. It's just that we try and keep it as simple as we can, because we're using the Samakis and the slick rigs. And you can use any plastic, but we feel really comfortable with that sort of stuff. And in the tournaments, we'll use the good old whitebait colour that I just showed you. And I can't even get them out of the box, but this one here is the pink. And I don't know what it is about this, but this seems to work at night. And you might notice that both of these lures are almost transparent or translucent. You can actually see almost right through the lure. So I think that also helps blend in with the colours underwater and may also give the illusion of movement. This one here has a nice little silver flash around the gills. Works quite well. Most of the other lures like jackals and all that do too. But in saying that, they're the probably two that we'll use in the tournament the most. But we have used a whole heap of these, and these are all the different colours in the Samaki, and all of them work. The other one that we found works at night is just that straight black colour. Looks great. These other colours, they all work in the daylight, but for us it's all about confidence. If you feel confident with something and you've got a minimal amount of time, like you do in a tournament, you want to only have 8 hours to fish or something, you want to be throwing the stuff that you feel really confident in. And if you don't feel confident in a Samaki and you feel confident in a jackal, use that. If you use some other type of plastic, use it. If you feel confident with it, use it. But this is the secret for us. That's all we use. Nothing. No major secrets here. You ready to go? Okay, so we've talked about the slick rig and the Samaki Reddick as being our sort of go-to lure. It's only because we're very confident with those. Every now and then we'll chuck one of these. This is a Samaki Vibe. It's a nice vibe. You can use, there's so many vibes on the market now, but we just find that the Samaki ones are quite good. And the way that we use these, so we do two sort of motions. We'll throw it out, let it fall, hop, sort of thing like that, and then hop again. The other one that works, and we've learnt from Liam and that on the ABT, is you actually throw it down, let it hit the bottom, and then you pick it up, do a couple of hops, and then let it fall to the bottom again. As far as Liam's concerned, it's not on the bottom, you're not catching them, and it works. Done the same with a slick rig, and it even works. So vibing is a very, very valuable technique that you can use as well. It's not our go-to stuff, but that's what we mix it up a bit. You know, when we're fishing the tournament sometimes. The other thing that we go to is when we want to catch a bigger, you know, if we're not catching a big fish, we might throw out a Moloch shad, and we actually keep our shads pretty simple. So this is a sort of standard, that's not a standard, that's a one that we've modified. Let's see if I can find one in here, and you can see that they normally come with a lighter set of trebles, and they come with a flasher at the back. So you can do that. But what we like to do with them is just basically go as simple as possible. We get rid of the flasher unit on the top, on the back there, that hangs off the back. Sometimes we run two hooks, but every now and then we find that the two hooks get caught up, or the thing will get twisted up like this. So to keep it really simple, we run one big hook at the front, and you can generally nail a bigger fish with a bigger bait. Every now and then, it's just worth a go. So the other thing that you can do with these is you can get a Stanley knife and cut right down the center, and the weight inside, you can cut the weight out. So you pull the whole hook assembly out, and then you can cut the weight down to get the weight down, because you'll find these are really very heavy, and they feel like a lead weight on the end of your line, you know. But you can get them to swim a bit better with a little bit of weight taken out of them. So and generally what happens is once you cut it out, put it back in, you can just get the soldering on and just do little patches, and you can heat up the plastic and then just push it back in together and hold it, and it'll generally weld itself up quite well. And we also use a little bit of dye on the tail there. And this accounted for some of our big fish. It also accounted for some of the fish we caught in one of the tournaments at Mondrian, where they were sort of down about, we're in 26 foot of water, and the fish were down in amongst the trees. So we'd count these down to get them, and then drag them through the trees. And with a minimal amount of hooks, they were quite good to get through the trees, and they generally hooked up due to those hooks on the bottom. These are the brand of hooks that we use, and if you have a look around for those, we use them on the slickies and everything. We use them on the Molochs. You can use whatever size you like. It's generally big fish, big hooks, so the bigger the better. And we've also used the RT shad, which we use with a separate weight as well, so they're quite good. Don't discount anything. If you're finding something that works, use it. The end.